Hey, beautiful. Come on in, have a seat. Let's have a serious talk. Did you know that 84% of people in toxic relationships reported emotional exhaustion? Sis, let's talk about the signs that you might be missing so you know how to protect your peace. Your relationships are supposed to be your safe space, but sometimes they aren't. I've been there giving my all in my romantic relationships, platonic friendships, even family bonds and relationships, allowing others to drink out of my cup instead of basking in my overflow. Today, we're going to break down 5 red flags of toxic relationships. So by the end of this, you'll know what signs you're missing and how to protect your peace. Red flag number 1, lack of reciprocity. Are you the person that is always giving emotionally, financially, whatever the case may be? I recall a time when I had an individual in my life that leaned on me rather often if they needed financial assistance. If it was in my wheelhouse, I was there. If they needed emotional support, I was there. If they needed advice, help with their health and wellness, I was there. But I recall a time when I was on my ultimate low. And this honestly wasn't too long ago. I started a new job and I needed someone to help me drop my son off at school. So I call this individual and I say, hey, I started a new job. It's across town. It's going to take me about an hour and a half to get there. Can you drop my son off at school for me? Mind you, my son's school is 10 minutes from their house. Really wasn't going to take much, but you know, 30 minutes and maybe $3 worth of gas. But their rebuttal was, no, I don't feel like getting up to do that. He can just stand outside and wait. That's when I realized the scales were tilted and it wasn't in my favor. So I took a step back. So I need you to ask yourself, are you the individual that's always giving? And I get relationships are give and take. But if the scales are always tilted in their favor, that's something to think about. So ask yourself, am I the person always giving in the relationship? And pay attention to the patterns. Someone always told me consistency is key. And it can be consistency in bad patterns too. So pay attention to the patterns. Are you letting someone drink from your cup instead of bask in your overflow? Red flag number 2, disrespecting your boundaries are about respect. And if they're constantly pushing your boundaries, they don't respect you or value you. I remember a time when I had someone in my life and I had to constantly check them about their tone and how they were talking to me. For me, speaking in a healthy, calm tone, regardless if there's disagreement or not, is essential to open communication. I always had to reinforce to that individual, I don't like when you talk to me this way, or raise my voice, get out of character, whatever the case may be. Boundaries are there for protection of yourself, of your energy, of your space. So ask yourself, is this person always giving me pushback on my boundaries? Stand firm. Boundaries are protection. It's protection of your peace, and your peace is priceless. Red flag number 3, gaslighting and manipulation. Gaslighting is sneaky. It can be subtle, but it's one of the most dangerous. It has you questioning your reality. Is it me? Is it them? Did I take it out of context? 9 times out of 10, sis, you didn't. It's them, not you. So I recall a time when I was attempting to be friends with an ex. I know. Another story for another day. But nonetheless, we're chilling at the house and we're having a conversation. Why I'm having this conversation with this man, I don't know. But we were talking about what I was looking for in my future relationship. Talk about a monitoring spirit. Anyways, so he proceeds to tell me that my standards are too high and that I'm not going to find a relationship of that caliber. It was a lie. But anyways, Fast forward a month later, we're talking again, still talking. I was naive at the time. But anywho, and I brought to his attention that the statement he made a month prior was contradictory to what he was saying in the current conversation. And his rebuttal was, I didn't say that. And if I did, I don't recall. I knew, just like he knew, what was going on. I'll say this: gaslighting is not love, it's a form of control. So I want you to ask yourself, do you always feel like you're questioning your reality when it comes to this person? Only you can answer that question. Quick tip: what I want you to do is to document your feelings and your interactions with this person. It's not being petty, it's protecting your peace. And this goes back to understanding the patterns. If it's a consistent pattern in an unbalanced scale, you know what you need to do. Red flag number 4: playing the victim. Some people always have a crisis, and no matter what advice you give, nothing changes, and it's never their fault. Lack of accountability. I had a friend that would call and ask for advice or spill some tea about something that was irritating. I would render advice, or at least I thought I was, or ask how they plan to fix the problem, or give a suggestion on how they could control what's going on within themselves. Because you can only control you, can't control others. But no matter how much advice I rendered, nothing seemed to change, and it was never their fault. And their attitude towards the situation never changed. So I soon realized that I was enabling the behavior. So, what I want you to do is to start asking, what is your plan to fix the problem? And if that person can't answer that question, take a step back. Red flag number 5: walking on eggshells. You should be able to be your authentic self. You should never have to rehearse what you're going to say to someone or avoid certain topics or saying certain things because it's going to set them off. You should be your full self and feel free to be comfortable in all relationships. Because again, it's supposed to be your safe space. So ask yourself, do I feel free to express myself openly and honestly? Quick tip: practice being honest in small, subtle ways. And if they can't handle your honesty, they can't handle you. So, in this video, we've talked about a lack of reciprocity, disrespecting boundaries, gaslighting and manipulation, playing the victim, and walking on eggshells. And let's be honest, these aren't just red flags of a toxic relationship. These are signs that you need to choose yourself to protect your peace. Take a moment and think about what red flags that you've recognized in your relationships, and think about what steps you're going to take this week to protect your peace. So, in our next video, we are going to talk about walking away from toxic relationships with grace and confidence. Because let's be honest, toxic relationships have a way of breaking us down and chipping away at our self confidence or self esteem. And remember, we are all about finding balance, embracing wellness, and living beautifully. I'll see you in the next one.